Thank you for staying with us. It's time now to take a look at stories making headlines on the front pages of Nigerian newspapers. And I begin with this Nigeria newspaper. The major story here says INEC suspends voting in 240 polling units, cites insecurity, says elections will hold in only 176,606 polling units. Taraba, Imo, top list of 28 states with affected units. You find all the details on the front page of this Nigeria newspaper. We move now to the First News newspaper. Why elections won't hold in 240 polling units. Why elections won't hold in 240 polling units. Says affected polling units cut across 28 states. Abuja, no voter indicated interest in transferring to those units during last voter registration exercise due to insecurity. Yakubu speaking. You find all the details on the front page of the First News newspaper. To Nigeria News Direct now, 12 days to election. You are under watch, Buhari to police security chiefs. 12 days to election, you are under watch, Buhari to police security chiefs. Mike.
Right, the Blueprint newspaper is the next one we're getting to now. Sultan to federal government, politicians put politics aside. Nigerians hungry and angry. Cautions on a severe crisis. Ganduje hops on ranches to curb herders, farmers clashes. And 4,000 died from conflict in 7 years. IDB boss is revealing this. All this you see on the front page of the Blueprint newspaper. Put politics aside. Nigerians hungry and angry. That's from the Sultan of Sokoto. Now from there, let's go to Daily Trust. Daily Trust newspaper says banks ignore Supreme Court, reject old notes. Banks ignore Supreme Court, reject old notes. Ask customers to go to CBN, filling stations, supermarkets, accept only new currency. Apex Bank issued 400 billion naira new notes. EFCC chairman is saying this. Okay, that's what Daily Trust has in there. From there, let's go to Leadership. Leadership newspaper says, as Naira black market booms, CBN's silence throws Nigerians into confusion. As Naira black market booms, CBN's silence throws Nigerians into confusion. Apex Bank, mom on Supreme Court ruling, supermarkets, drivers, traders reject old notes, banks give conditions. PMB meets Mefele as court hears case tomorrow. Okay, that's what Leadership has. Business Day is next. From COVID to cash crisis, shocks leave Nigerians poorer. From COVID to cash crisis, shocks leave Nigerians poorer. That's what Business Day has. From there, let's go to Nature News, which is the last one we're looking at now. Nature News says Buhari approves work plan as Climate Change Council meets. Buhari approves work plan as Climate Change Council meets. Nigeria is set to lead Africa, says Environment Minister Abdullahi. DG NCCC, Dr. Salisu Dahiru, set up structure. All this you see on the front page of the Nature News. Veronica?
All right, Mike, let's look at this story. I'm talking about INEC delisting or eliminating about 240 polling units because no new voter indicated interest in going to those polling units, citing insecurity as the reasons for that. And if you look at, the number of polling units across the states, I was just looking through them. Abia has about 12 polling units that has been de-eliminated. Adamawa has about 3, Anambra has 6, Bauchi has 6, Bayelsa 2, Benue has 10. And then if you look closely, Imo seems to have the highest number.
Imo and Taraba State.
Yes, seems to have the highest number here. About 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 for Imo State.
It even goes up to about 30-something polling units in Imo State.
And a lot of questions have been raised. You know, Nigerians are raising their eyebrow. Why is it now that INEC is having this conversation with Nigerians saying that 240 persons, polling units will be de-eliminated and all of it, saying the timing isn't right, you know, how Nigerians are interpreting all of this?
Yes, no, the point there is you will not blame Nigerians because the point, they didn't know how this came about. That is why we often talk about the National Orientation Agency. If there were publicity where Nigerians knew what all of these things were, and because recall that in 2021, INEC conducted the
continuous voter
continuous, very good. It was done, and then some polling units that had that were choked up with voter. Some of them were reduced, you know, into new delineated polling units, so that to decongest some of those ones and create new ones and so on. All of these things were done by INEC in 2021, and it was now left for Nigerians, for those who want to transfer their voting or whatever from that register, from the old register to the new whatever. But there wasn't enough publicity. So Nigerians were not so many Nigerians were aware. Those who were aware, some persons said, well, I don't trust that in that new place there will be adequate security. Exactly. So the point there, but everything boiled down back to the issue of enlightenment. Nigerians were not aware. But it was very important for INEC to let Nigerians know now, because that opportunity was still open. So until it becomes obvious that nobody is registering in this new polling units, so as it is, let us cancel it so we know it doesn't exist, so that all of the effort and resources and materials will be channeled to where they were before. So that's the thing. So you will not blame Nigerians for trying to read meanings or deduce things from what's going on right now, because they don't know why this is coming now, right? Of course, INEC is doing its work and is doing it well, but we are saying enlightenment. Enlightenment is key. The point there is that if you come to Lagos or go to Abuja, these are not, you cannot use Lagos and Abuja to say that is what Nigeria is. If you go to Imo State or go to Benue or go to Taraba, the life there is very different. So the system of trying to communicate, in fact, I don't see reason why we can't go back to the Mamsa days in the early 90s, where you have a vehicle with a loudspeaker on top of it, going from village to village, penetrating those places with a loudspeaker, telling everybody, everybody listen, this is good. We still live, those places still have that kind of system up until now. The place has not, all of the places have not grown to have radio stations, have TV stations where people are sitting down to watch TV or listen to radio. So they still rely on that, either the gong or the village square, or that vehicle going from corner to corner in the village, telling people, so that even if you're in the farm, you can hear what they're saying in your language. That is where some of this communities they're still at that level.
Yes.
So Nigeria shouldn't feel that, because there are records that Lagos is just one small fraction of the entire Nigeria. Abuja is just a little fraction.
My issue is that there are consequences for our actions. Recall there's been sit at home, IPOB sit at home, even though they are now saying that during the election period, there wouldn't be sit at home. But these are the issues. These are the attendant effects of all of those actions. Recall there's been also attacks on INEC offices in Imo. In Imo. Imo State witnessed the highest of the attacks.
In the southeast generally, but Imo tops the other states. Yeah.
So these are the issues. Now, nobody seeing all of those would want to go to certain areas that they know are prone to all of these activities. This, for me, is the lesson we must learn. if you say we must all be, taken along in this process of our democracy, then remember that there are consequences for every action.
Yeah.
This is the reflection.
Yeah. Unfortunately, those who are making us feel or making Nigerians feel this consequence don't see it from that perspective. They may not necessarily understand what democracy is and what it should be and all the things that go into building a democracy or rooting a democracy. They may not see all of those things, apart from just seeing it from the prism of the fact that we are not happy, we're not satisfied by what government is giving us or what government has done for us, so let us just destroy the system.
But there are various channels of airing your grievances.
Of course, that's what I'm talking about. There are various channels, and those channels are part of why we call it democracy. That is why if you are not happy with anything, with anybody, you have the right to sue anybody to court for anything at all. Even government, you can sue government to court.
Absolutely.
In the areas that they are justiciable, very soon we'll be speaking to a lawyer on some of the issues. But the point there is that you can sue government, you can sue anybody to court. In the areas that the Constitution has said, okay, they are justiciable, right? Fine. So these are the civilized way of engagement. Anytime anybody or a group or institution takes the law into their hands because they have the right to ventilate their, you don't, we have rights, but our rights end where another person's own begins.
Absolutely. That was what I was going to say. So
I'm not a lawyer, but at least I know that one.
So I hope that Nigerians do understand why INEC is taking these actions. And for those that will be moved, because it talked about redistribution. INEC has said that it is going to send text messages for certain persons who will be getting new polling units. Yeah. I hope that it does that so that people will not be disenfranchised.
For INEC, I think they're doing the best they can. Because the point there is they came out and organized a press conference, communicated to Nigerians. Is that adequate? Of course, it's not adequate. But there are institutions, there are organizations of government saddled with the responsibility of picking it up from there and taking it further. Now, the media is doing their own parts, here and there, but the National Orientation Agency is saddled with this responsibility.
How is it that the National Orientation Agency is not listening? Because
no.
For a while now, lot of Nigerians have been calling them out for not doing what they are supposed to do.
To be fair to National Orientation Agency, although I don't have an idea, but to be what's going on inside. Yeah. But to be fair, I think the National Orientation Agency will work based on the power, resources given to it by government of the day.
All right.
So let's leave it at that.
So it still falls back to the government.
It falls back to the government. How they want them to function is the way they function.